RESHADE, a free and since 2017 open source program to change how your games look with crazy customization reaching from barely noticeable to very noticeable to oh my god, what have you done? This video is going to be a guide for everything from the installation to making your own reshades so you can make DBD look however you want. Alright, step 1, downloading RESHADE. We want to go to reshade.me, click on download, get the RESHADE version without add-on support. We don't need that in this case. Click on download, put it on the desktop, for me at least. We are then going to want to run this file. Then you're going to have a big list of games and stuff that you have installed. For Steam, we want to go for Win64 shipping, Dead by Daylight, this one. This is the Epic version, in case you want to install on Epic. We're going to go for this. Click on next, go next here. These are all the effects that you can install just with the installer. We're going to uncheck and check everything so we can install everything. Now that it's installed, I can go and open the game to show you around the actual menu. Now that we are in game, we can already see at the top, RESHADE has been installed. We're going to press home on our keyboard, skip the tutorial. And now I'm going to quickly show you around all of this stuff. You're going to have this series of effects. We're going to go over that later. First, I'm going to turn off autosave. Don't need that. First of all, I want to go to settings. If you want to change your overlay key, so the button that you use to open it, you just click on this and put it to a different button. Very easy. I would also set a effect toggle button. And then if you have multiple presets, you can go for these two here. There we go. If you don't like the transitioning period between effects, you can just put this to 0. Now, if this entire font size doesn't really fit you, you can go down here to global font and just put this to a lower number. I like 15. Now, this is going to be the part where I show you how to import presets. It's very simple. We want to go to this folder over here. Click on this. We're then gonna be greeted with this right here. This is where you can put all of your reshades. This is the directory where you have to go. This is wherever you have DBD installed, and then this path. Now I have grabbed Hens reshade, which is on my desktop currently. We're just gonna grab this .ini file, put it in here, and you're done. That's literally it. That's all you have to do. Now, if you have many reshades, which will happen if you use this a lot, I would recommend that you create folders. So for example, just call this one Hens, and then drag this one in here. So it's a bit more sorted, but you can do whatever you want. I just prefer it like this. Now, if we go back in game, you can see if you open this, there's a new Hens folder that we just created. Click on this, click on Hens reshade. There we go. And it's loaded. Now, if you only want to, use other people's reshades, go ham, you're done now. For others, I'm gonna go over the process of making your own reshades. And specifically reshades for maps that scratchbacks and stuff are kind of hard to see on. I'm gonna, in this case, go for Coldwind and Eyrie, because those are probably the worst ones. Now, to make your own presets, we just click on this little plus up here. We can inherit the current preset, but we don't want to do this in this case. I'm gonna call this Coldwind. There we go. Now, completely empty preset. We're gonna close this and go into a custom game. Now that we're in our custom game, I'm gonna find a nice spot where I can see a lot of the map. And now if we go back, for example, to Hens reshade, I'm gonna save this really quick, just so it's there. Go back to this, you're gonna see, whoa, that's pretty bright. And reds are not super visible. We can definitely improve this by a lot. So what I'm gonna do is go back to Coldwind, and now we're gonna do our basic stuff. For example, brightness and a bit of saturation. Put the active to the top. Turn off dithering, we don't need this. So let's do a bit of brightness, let's say 0.4, some saturation, 0.5 maybe. That looks good. I might say, whoa, that's pretty orange. We can fix that. We're gonna go to lift gamma gain. It's another effect, active top. We're gonna put this above the other effect. It applies effects from top to bottom. That's a very important thing you should know. Now we can mess with these numbers up here, the gamma. I would, for Coldwind, recommend something like 0.7-ish, and then 2, just about. You're gonna see that's a lot better on the oranges. Now the maps have gone a bit more green. If you don't like that, that's fine. There's other ways to do this. I'm just showing you one of the ways. Now we can also make the reds even more saturated by going to the custom saturation adjustments, putting this to about 0.05. The hue is already at 0, which means red. And then we can just up this up to 2. Save this, go back out. Now you can see, whoa, that's some pretty red reds. And you can see them way easier as well. Now another thing would be for people with color blindness, who are, for example, red-green colorblind. It's the most common one. Now that's a pretty strong red, but if you have difficulties with red, that might be an issue still. So we can fix this by going to Lightroom. You can do this with any reshade, by the way. Just pick a Coldwind reshade that you like, preferably one that really isolates reds. Put this to the top, the active one at the very bottom now, so it applies at the very last. We're gonna want to go to the palette tab and red hue control. Now you might think, oh, I'm just gonna drag this to the right. Actually caps out at 1, which makes it like an orangey yellow-ish, which is obviously not ideal. But we can hold control and left click and put in any number that we want, for example 6, which will make our reds a nice cyan blue, which is now very visible even from far away. You see these scratch marks back there, and that's how I would personally act if someone said, oh, I'm colorblind, no, I can't really see red that well. This is probably one way I would do it. Now if you want to go a bit further, we can go back up to this and decrease the yellows a bit, or like, let's say, yeah, 0.5, just about. There we go. Now it looks a bit more flat, obviously, because we just borderline deleted the color yellow. Still there, but just, you know, a lot less saturated. But now you can really see those blues stand out. Now you might see like that gen over there is like basically invisible now. But if you now use our toggle key to turn it on and off quickly, you see it can't really do much there. It's already basically the color of the hay bale if we're just standing here. So, you know, it can't fix that stuff. But this is how I would personally make a Coldwind reshade. Now let's go over Eyrie. Alright, now that we are on Eyrie, you can see I already have my Coldwind reshade turned off. Just to show you the difference, this is default Eyrie. There's nothing changed here. You can see very foggy, very yellow, very bright. We can fix most of these things. Now, if I already turn on just the Coldwind reshade, you see, whoa, it's pretty blue because I set up my auras on blue. Now we can fix that as well. But let's just turn it off for now. And there we go. Now it looks a bit too green in my opinion, and we can change that. That's just because of, you know, the Coldwind reshade, and that's how that works on Coldwind. However, Eyrie's a bit different. It's a different shade of yellow. So we're actually gonna want to make another preset, in this case called Eyrie. Go back to contrast, brightness, saturation. There we go. Active top. And then do a bit of brightness. In this case, less though. You know what? We're gonna scratch the brightness. In this case, yeah, we don't need brightness. Already a very bright map. I would do a bit of contrast, so it's a bit more readable and a bit less foggy. Put this to 0.55. Now we're gonna go back to lift gamma again, our favorite effect for de-tinting maps. Put this at the top again. Remember, this applies first now. Now we want to find another good value here. Let's say like 0.8 maybe. Adjust it to be exactly 0.8. And then play with this slide a little bit. Let's say 0.3. Looks good. Now this map's quite blue now. You can see there's like this bluish fog. We can do something about this by utilizing another effect called selective color. We want V2 because it's more versatile. Put it to the top again, but this time at the very bottom, so we wanted to apply last. Now this is a like cyan bluish, so we're gonna go to cyan blues, and we can either just like completely kill it by putting the saturation to 0, or we can play it with these top sliders above. For example, yellow here makes it quite a lot less visible, and now it's just a bit of trying, so magenta to the right works pretty well. Save this. Now, as you can see, it's significantly less yellow, you know, as a comparison. Here you go. But again, we need a bit more red here. We're gonna go back to custom saturation adjustment. Keep this at 0 again, because that means red. 0.05. Crank this all the way. And you can already see in the back, those generators are way more red. Now, a thing with Eyrie is it has dynamic-ish lighting, because you can see right now it's a bit darker than before. It's gonna go back up in brightness in a second. That's not something we can fix. Yeah, you can already see. It gets way hazier if it does get brighter. We can kind of circumvent this with two effects. First of all, we have dehaze, which works decently well. I'm gonna go to dehaze. There we go. I would recommend something like 0.3 and 0.3. We can put this to 0. Now, if we go here, and you see just as a comparison, I'm gonna turn this on and off. Does quite a bit, actually. If you don't like how this looks, we can also use a effect called clarity. Clarity 1 in this case. Now, I would say clarity radius 0. Put this to 1. And then I would just put these completely to the sides. And then strength is your choice. This might not be as visible on the recording. But let me tell you, it changes a lot. It changes a lot when you're actually in game. And let me just show you here. You can probably see that this is quite a strong effect now. So you can choose those two. I would personally use dehaze. I like this one more. There we go. Save. Now there's some more extreme reshades you could definitely do with this. For example, we can go back to selective color, to yellows, for example. We could just delete the color yellow, but I don't think this looks that good. So I would go for something a bit tamer. For example, the black slider. We could make the yellow a bit darker and also do the same for oranges. You see, it's very subtle, but it does a lot actually. You see the map's a lot darker now and more contrasty. Just as a comparison, let me show you. This really is night and day. You can tell there's still a bit of blue in there. Again, if you want to change that, we can go back here and make it less blue. I'm actually gonna go for like negative 0.4 here, and now the blue's basically gone. Now what I have a nitpick with this map is this green, like very subtly green fog in the back. So I usually just delete the color green. It probably doesn't come across in the recording very well, but there is a sort of, let me just, yeah, crank the saturation. Now it's pretty green, this sky back here. I don't really like this. So I usually just completely remove the color green. Now, if someone has a green cosmetic, yeah, that's going to be gray as well. But I think the trade-off is worth it. And there you go. We've made a very annoying map for anyone, really. A lot nicer to look at, in my opinion. Now, if you want to change things about this, that's fine. Now, for colorblind people, this map is an absolute nightmare. And this would probably already help a bit, because you can see how vibrant these reds are. But if you want to, we can go back to one of our favorite effects, Lightroom, and change the color of red again. Again, at the very bottom, we can actually put it above dehaze. That's fine. Doesn't really change that much. Let's just put this back to a 6 and see how this looks. Now that's some blue gens right there. That's what you like to see. Very vibrant blue scratch marks in the back here. Now the dynamic lighting is gonna mess with us a bit. So already see it's still very hazy, but there's nothing you can really change about that. Well, this is probably how I would make a reshade for Eyrie. If you have any other questions about making your own reshades or importing presets or anything, you can leave a comment or join my Discord, which is in the description. I'm gonna be replying to comments and trying to help people out. That's it for today though. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you when I see you.